Mentioned Atlanta Public Schools, and obviously there's a portion of this district that's in the city of Atlanta, and APS had a cheating scandal that rocked it over the last couple of years. And a brief plug for my newspaper, in tomorrow's edition we'll be looking at cheating scandals across the nation, so if you're interested in that, please pick it up. But back locally, the legislature has sort of debated over the last few years how to monitor individual school districts, whether it's in the wake of a cheating scandal, in the wake of a loss of accreditation. What is the right approach for the legislature vis-a-vis local school districts, and how much accountability they should impose on those districts versus leaving it up to the voters? And we'll begin this one with Drew.
Folks, the right approach is to get the parents involved. I think you've got to have the parents on not just a PTA level, but you form a committee. You form a committee with an odd number, like 5 or 9, and let it be an elected committee for public schools, especially the Atlanta public schools. You know, exactly. You go over the Chattahoochee River in Smyrna and Vinings, they don't want any part of the Atlanta Public Schools. So the issues are different. But for us here in Fulton, where we are now, we've got to get the parents involved into an elected part. I'm not meaning more government, because as a businessman I'm for less government. But I'm talking about getting them on a hands-on level where they have a real voice of what happens down at the school board. So that's where I am on that.
Drew's going to get some extra time at the end of this.
The Atlanta public school cheating scandal was one of the most horrific things that we've seen. And I was working with the governor when we appointed Mike Bowers and some folks to look into it and see what was going on. And one of the things we found that we need more, and as much as I believe the state should pull back from schools and let them run themselves, the trick has to be accountability when you do so you don't run into this situation again. And the best way to have accountability in our public school system is to have transparency. Parents ought to know how money's being spent, what tests are being taken, when they're being taken, and as much information about the teachers as possible. We need to make it accessible. One of the things I talked about in terms of transparency, for those of you that live in Atlanta may have gotten a letter, is in terms of the redistricting process. Parents ought to have opportunities early on to know what's happening. The school district ought to say what it's going to do, and parents ought to have a way to hold them accountable if they don't say what they're going to do. And Kyle, I look very forward to buying the newspaper tomorrow again and reading your article. I think it's going to be, but in seriousness, the AJC did a great job in reporting that, and it's one of the things. I'm glad Errol Davis has done a good job getting things back on track at APS, and I worked with him at the Board of Regents, and I think he's a great leader, and things are going to improve, but we've got to keep an eye on things and make things transparent and accountable.
This whole cheating scandal is it's a failure of leadership. It's a crisis of leadership, frankly. I mean, when you think of the character that we expect of the folks leading our children, I mean, a minimum standard would be that they wouldn't cheat. You know, this sets our children up for failure for years to come, and it's very sad because they can't get that time back. But again, I want to focus on the leadership aspect. It needs to be. It is abhorrent to the people in this room and to me that this is going on. And Errol Davis is doing a great job with the city of Atlanta. But the fact that it's kind of hard to get rid of some of these people is to somebody who's in business, I mean, it should be a hard line. There shouldn't even be any discussion. If you're cheating, you're gone. And, you know, so leadership is important. But transparency is important as well, and letting parents know what is going on with their children. But at the end of the day, the state needs to pull back and get less involved in education. And it's sad, too, that we have to go through these redistricting plans where the state decides where your child's going to go to school based on where you live. We need to move further from that model and allow charter schools to flourish. That means parents are coming together to create a charter in the community. And then also, ultimately, we can move towards vouchers.